I think people want full-time results from casual effort. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to go do something you've never done and you want to exceed at a level that you haven't seen, but you want to still use the discipline and the work ethic that you developed up to this point in your life? And we got to let's zero in on it. The average person who's working as an entrepreneur, they are switching from whatever they did in their career. And I use a simple example, but they were working as a dental hygienist. So let's just assume they're middle of the road. They're a B at it. They ain't about to get fired. They ain't about to get promoted. They ain't messing up your mouth, but they ain't fixing nothing too crazy. They just doing they go to work, they do their job.
Mm-hmm.
On the side, they've always loved fashion. And now their friends have been saying, girl, you need to start you a fashion company. You need to get into e-commerce. I see all these people on Instagram winning. And so your day-to-day life is set up to be a B dental hygienist. And now you see us making 6 figures, 7 figures, and you want to come over here and make an A+ entrepreneur doing fashion, right? When you going to put in that work? And I think social media makes it, let's get into the systems part. Social media makes it look so attainable because you see people's results and their output. You don't see the system that powers it.
Hey, this is Connie 𝗧𝗏𝗏 and the S is for Systems. We are here with our amazing podcast called Life with Systems, where we talk about the harmony between business and life and find the systems that mesh them all together. Today, we have my friend. Hi, friend.
What's going on? At this point, I want my little title to be recurring star or something like that.
My gosh.
You know what I mean? I'm in multiple episodes.
Let me tell you, the video, I'll have to show you after this. Ashley did a video of what she wants the videos to look like. And she was like, yeah, we need the people's names to scroll across the bottom and maybe some kind of transitions. You know, I've been working on CapCut ever since Nikki showed it to me. So I want the, we just need the excitement so the people get excited. Why would I want to watch a boring video? They don't even know your name at the bottom. I said, Ashley, say all the words and I'll give it to whoever's recording it. Yeah, because as the business consultant for the business advisor, I was like, go off.
She's in high school now, so you actually got to take this shit serious.
Seriously. And she said, because I showed her, she was like, I showed her the trailer thing. And she was like, oh, so this is going to be like a real podcast? I thought it was like,
leave it to kids to smoke you, man.
Disrespectful. And because she has the real look in her eye, you know how she'd be like,
yes.
I said, yes. You're like, so like, you're actually going to put it on YouTube? Because, I told you that years ago that you needed to step your YouTube stuff up. Because if Mr. Beast can do all of this stuff, why can't you? You have all these fancy clients, and why don't you have something on YouTube? I said, well, baby, mommy's going to do it now. She's like, yeah, because when I tell my teachers that, oh, my mommy has a book and she does all this stuff, they go to YouTube,
you have no presence.
And I have nothing.
Yeah.
You're
embarrassing your child.
I'm embarrassing my child.
It's like being late to the car pickup line when they're in elementary school. Oh, it's intense. I've been learning.
It's very disrespectful. And so when I showed her the thing, she saw your video from the last podcast, and she's like, Mr. Mahdi is on there? I said, yeah, Mr. Mahdi is fancy. She's like, Mr. Mahdi is our friend. I said, no, Mr. Mahdi is fancy. So we go to your Instagram page, and I showed her. She was like, that's a lot of followers. All those people listen to what he has to say. Do they know about his birds? I said, yes, he has a separate page for his birds. And I go to the other page. That's a lot of followers. So yeah, I had to explain to your friend, Ashley, that you are fancy.
Okay. All right. I receive that.
You receive your fancy?
Sure.
Do you receive being an influencer?
No. I mean, yes. Yes, in the sense of having influence. No, in the sense of the definition of an influencer. Influencers are people who work with brands. I'm old school.
Explain that, please, because again, we're just using the new terms.
All right, so influencer marketing, this sort of grew with the explosion of social media. For perspective, when I was in corporate 2010, we had to tell the upper management what an influencer was. So we were working on a rebrand for Pedigree dog food brand. And we were increasing the quality of the dog food because for 75 years, it had been regular dog food for regular dogs. And now we've got all this science-based, research is going into the new recipes. And so it was like, how do we get this out here? Yes, you can run television campaigns. And at this point, think about it like this. This is pre-Instagram. These are bloggers and vloggers, primarily from Facebook, and having their own sites and a little bit of YouTube, who've got millions of people tuning in to hear their perspectives on healthy eating for your pet. And so we go in and we pitch the concept of working with influencers and why we need to pay these people a whole lot of money for their perspective and what they're going to write about and talk about. So at that time, flew, let's say it was 10 or 12 people, flew them to the UK where the food science lab was. They went through a multi-day experience to see everything that went into it so that they could authentically share about their experience as far as this isn't just a repositioning or a new logo. They actually, are doing a lot to improve the recipe for dogs. So when I think of when I think of influencer, I can't help but think of the origin, which is typically people who are working directly with brands, who are sort of in charge of communicating a specific message. And usually you want to gain impressions, or you want to gain reach, or ultimately you want to increase sales.
Is that not similar to what people have made it be? Or is it that, because you got micro, macro, nano, puto, taco.
So let's simplify it for the people
Thank
listening.
you. For people like me.
Macro, right? And I'll use Instagram as a base.
Perfect.
So about 50% of people have less than 1,000 followers. About 90% of people have under 10,000. And then when you get above 100,000, you start talking about small percentages. So usually anybody that's sort of in that 250 or up is a macro influencer, meaning they got a large amount of reach. But typically what comes with that is you don't have as deep of a relationship with the people anymore.
Got it.
And then you can go back to a regular micro, nano, et cetera. So there's people with 5,800 followers, let's say they're in fashion, but people watch what they wear every day, every week. So they might have an army of 1,000 people. When they decide to partner with a brand, they can really move the needle, whereas a macro influencer has to do more of a generic sort of messaging and spread. So yes and no, we're still using the term the right way. But the reason I say I don't relate to it is I don't work with brands at the moment.
Yeah, but you should. What brands would you like to work with?
I'm working on it.
What do you want to work with?
So it's funny how, like, on my business side, and so for those that you kind of alluded to it, but I'm really working hard on this concept of building a business around your life, not the other way around. Because for so long I was just type A. These are your goals. These are the deliverables. These are the timeline. This is the budget. And now I'm in a space where it's like we got direct to consumer in a way that we've never had it before. What if you just pick what you want your life to look like and then created a business that can be able to sort of bring that to life, right? So when I think about the brands I want to work with, it's the brands that will help facilitate that type of thing. So for me, that looks like I love teaching. I love helping entrepreneurs, but I'm hobbying harder than I'm doing anything else.
You was hobbying your tail off.
Right.
You the hobby king.
So for those that don't know, I do bird photography, right? And there
Atlanta Birdman, make sure that you follow.
You are crazy. But you think about all of the things that go into that particular hobby, and then there's things that you just wouldn't think about. So I'll give you an example. Black girl sunscreen. I wear that sunscreen, but they didn't have one for men. They just launched BGS Men. I love to work with them, right? Because I'm outside for 4, 6, 8 hours a day at a time.
All day.
And then there's not enough conversation, not that it's not to them, this is just at the highest level. There's not enough conversation around melanated people wearing sunscreen. So if I do have this platform, like, let's partner with those type of brands. There are direct things like camera companies or binocular companies. And then there's indirect things like that. So
what else would be an indirect one?
So I would say think about all of the things that support getting it done. So let's say specifically within bird photography, most people don't think about the socks, the undergarments. You want to make sure you're not chafing. You want to make sure your feet stay dry. I'm going between different types of terrain. So yeah, you might think of the hiking boots or the trail shoes. You don't necessarily think of the socks. You don't think about what do you do if you get a blister, right? You don't think about the first aid kit companies. You don't think about some of the things that surround what we do. Or you think about the binoculars, but there's 3-4 different ways you can wear them. I wear a certain type of harness that's low profile, that's really comfortable for me. Nobody thinks about how you carry the binoculars, right? So it's those types of things. So cameras come to mind, your clothes come to mind. They don't think about the travel and destination. So what does it look like to partner with, instead of a hotel chain, what does it look like to partner with the folks that have multiple Airbnb locations in all these remote places? Like, what does it look like to tell that entire curated story but weave it through sort of the outdoor experience of what it all looks like. And of course, I'll tie in, hobbying, self-care, and bird photography.
That is like, because, we see the same thing. We're the same people. I could see all of that, especially using it through, you find in an Airbnb where they always have them somewhere in the woods or a supernatural or something like that. And then being able to do the thing in the car and all this.
You feel me?
Do one for me. What should I have? Do me too.
So I think there's a lot, right? You got some of the things that come to the surface and some of the things that don't. So one of the things for me that don't would be what you like writing with, which is remarkable,
I do
right?
like remarkable.
So when you put a certain level of systems in your business, people think about, I want to document what I do, and correct me if I don't get these steps right. I want to document the things that I do. I want to be able to train people on how to do these things in order to get a specific result. So yeah, we might think about, forgive me, but like the software company that stores the SOPs and those
like
types of things.
Trainual.
We might think about a Trainual, right? But we don't necessarily think about the remote storage of where you're saving all the data.
Yeah.
So maybe you need to partner with somebody. I don't know the exact terms, but like if you're building an on-site versus an off-site repository for all the data that you're storing for you and your clients. Because y'all got to back up a bunch of files.
We have a lot.
For years, right? So what does that really look like? So in addition to how you hire and who you need and some of those things that jump to mind, the computer companies, the things that you're working with.
All right, let's cut this out just for me.
But then I would say the part that allows you to be your best as the CEO of the company. So I know you as a friend, but like people don't understand how much your spa treatment and that stuff plays into your ability to perform at a high level. Folks think that if I put systems in place, I don't have to do anything and it runs itself. But they don't know that weekly you are updating the SOPs. You guys are onboarding clients, you're offboarding clients, right? And you're also responsible for people. Oh, my bad, I got turned up. You're responsible for people's livelihood. People are paying their mortgage by your ability to make sound decisions. So what do you do in the spaces where your judgment may be clouded or whether your discernment may not be firing? Who are those companies? And what are those brands that help you get back to feeling like yourself? Because again, it's not just business with systems, it's life with systems.
Come on. Can we cut this and make it that's the drop right there.
Give me a pot of here.
All right, we want to thank you for coming out today.
Look directly at the camera. It's been a good one. I appreciate y'all.
We enjoyed your company and leave. No, but that's dope. Because I think, and we talk about it all the time, that entrepreneurs should be lonely. And if you don't have anybody to have these kind of conversations with, you feel like it's just you.
Yeah.
And so all the high functioning entrepreneurs that are out here killing it, yes, we're able to call and talk amongst each other, but most people don't have anybody that could be like, imagine what things that I would need to be able to have your brain and all the things that you've done in your business career and life to have a conversation with. I think you and I talk a lot about self-care and what that means for us. And I know hobbying for you has been like the kind of calm to it. Is hobbying.
Can I unpack that some more though?
Yeah, that's what I want.
So when I say the hobbying part saved my life, people think it's about the participation in the hobby. That's only part of it. Let's unpack it some more, right? So I lost a business partner who passed away earlier than one would normally expect, right? We were in our early to mid 30s. And there's a level of continuous grief that happens. The initial shock happens, right? You work your way through the grief curve. Cool. But what do you do about the shared dreams that merge into one? This ain't just a business partner. We've been friends since the 9th grade. We tried to start multiple businesses. We finally started the one that was trending upward. And so you don't know if this is your dream, their dream, or a fusion. So as you work to get back to some sense of normalcy, you got to figure out what to do with all these thoughts and all this energy, right? So the hobby part, I was talking to my mentor, and he's like, I appreciate you doing the grief counseling. That's an important step. But you need to find something else to do that you can look forward to every day. That's not about making money. That's not about getting followers. But like, how do you live a more holistic life as a human? So let's get into the hobby part. I photograph birds. If you did not know, what do you think that what do you think that looks like?
I would think you go out and you take a picture there's birds out there. You go take a picture of them.
Yeah. And when would you think you go?
During the day.
Yeah, right. Just a natural thing, right? And if you were to ask the average person when the last time they seen a bird, in your mind, you think you see them all the time, right? Yeah. But we don't realize that birds are most active like the 30 minutes before sunrise, so let's say 2 hours. Now we're talking about 7 o'clock in the morning. Now let's get to the save my life part. If you need to be at a park that's 30 minutes from your house at 7, it means you need to leave at 6:30. That means you need to be getting up, prepping, showering, whatever you need to do at 5:30. That means the night before, you can't be out partying and having alcohol because you're not going to be able to get up. That's the part that saves your life, is that you got to make decisions the day before, the week before, the month before, to become the type of person who can set discipline, wake up and go do this type of hobby. In addition to, it is the intersection of peace, tranquility, and high performance. The next time you see a bird, I want you to take out your cell phone and try to take a picture of it flying.
I try to take pictures for you all the time, friend.
Buildings, trees, leaves, everything other than the bird, right? So you're walking, you're 2 miles into a hike. There's a physical toll, there's a mental toll. And then there's one bird that's migrating through, this is some nerdy stuff, right? That's migrating through Georgia. That's only gonna be here for 2 days. It darts by. Now you got to be able to perform, you feel me? And going back in between those spaces. So now you got to eat better. Can't be out here cramping. You got to sleep better because you got to get up and get out there early. So it's becoming that person that could participate and excel in the hobby that makes it all worthwhile. And then you take an audit, your favorite word, of your life, and you realize, man, I ain't been as efficient as I thought I was. Because in order for me to do this, I'm now cutting off this early part of the morning, which means I got to really be mindful of what I'm doing from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. when I'm running my business in order to do this hobby. So mine is kind of inverted. And that's why I'm talking about build a business around your life, not the other way around. Yeah.
Because you literally, I probably the first year.
Oh, yeah.
All day until the night. Like you literally lived out there.
So, but that's the same parallel for business for me. I think people want full-time results from casual effort. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to go do something you've never done and you want to exceed at a level that you haven't seen, but you want to still use the discipline and the work ethic that you developed up to this point in your life? And we got to let's zero in on it. The average person who's working as an entrepreneur, they are switching from whatever they did in their career. And I use a simple example, but they were working as a dental hygienist. So let's just assume they're middle of the road. They're a B at it. They ain't about to get fired. They ain't about to get promoted. They ain't messing up your mouth, but they ain't fixing nothing too crazy. They just doing they go to work, they do their job. Mm-hmm. On the side, they've always loved fashion. And now their friends have been saying, girl, you need to start you a fashion company. You need to get into e-commerce. I see all these people on Instagram winning. And so your day-to-day life is set up to be a B dental hygienist. And now you see us making 6 figures, 7 figures, and you want to come over here and make an A+ entrepreneur doing fashion, right? When you going to put in that work? And I think social media makes it, let's get into the systems part. Social media makes it look so attainable because you see people's results and their output. You don't see the system that powers it. You can't keep up with my content production because there's a system to it. There's a method to the madness. There's a process. I can post more per day than the algorithm can digest, right? It's the bottleneck, not my ability to make content. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you say, oh, damn, I want what he got, but you don't want to do what he do. And the amount of times, and people need to know this, right? Like the amount of times I called or text you at 7:30 in the morning because I'm excited about some crazy bird, but it was the discipline. You building the muscle. So that now I don't have to go every day. I just enjoy it enough to go every day, but make it count. You don't want to get to the middle of the Brazilian rainforest and still be practicing, right? You don't want to get on a podcast where somebody has invested their entire life's work and they invite you to a podcast and you can't articulate who you are and what you do. So you got to be practicing in order to be able to perform.
Practice. We're not talking about the game.
Not the game.
Practice. I don't think people have the real understanding of how hard it is to run a business and to get good. Because if you're a B at wherever you came from and you want to be an A+ over here, that distance is far. I love your analogy of the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. Because most people will never see $1 million.
Yeah.
You will absolutely not ever see $1 billion.
Yes.
Like that distance is so far away.
Yeah, so let's talk about it, right? So you put it and people throw these things out here. They say, I want to be a millionaire. No, I want to be a billionaire. It's just one letter change between millionaire. You switch the M to a B. But when you quantify it in time, 1 million seconds is about 12 days. 1 billion seconds is about 32 years. They ain't got nothing to do with each other. They ain't got nothing in common with each other. You know what I'm saying? It's just shit that we see. Pardon me, you're going to have to blur all this out, right?
No, you fine.
It's just stuff that we see on the internet that we want to emulate. And I ain't here to tell you that you can't do it, right? People doing it every day. You're going to turn into a different person to achieve one or both of those, all right? You're gonna have to turn into a different person to be able to get there.
Do you feel like in this journey you've been on so far in entrepreneurship, because you're super corporate, that you've had to become a different person?
To be an entrepreneur? Yeah, for sure. I think part of it is we all have a certain level of like a bias where we think the world is more like us, because we tend to even attract in our friends, our romantic partners, the people we spend time with, similar characteristics. That's kind of what makes it stick, right? And so if you're not careful, you'll develop a bias that the world is more like you. And so for those who are creating products and services, you create things that you like. You create things that you will buy. And that'll usually get you to a couple 100,000. It may even get you to low millions. But if you really want to develop something that you can set your clock to, you know that money coming, right? Your ability to understand a group of people better than they know themselves in order to develop the products and services that they need, so that when they realize they need them, it's already there. Like, you got to become that person, right? So if we were doing that on the same time, on the same thing on the system side, you've seen a lot of people's businesses. What happens at the 100,000 mark, the million mark, the 10 million mark, and the 100 million mark? The person who's getting there for the first time, they may not know. But since you've seen it, you can develop systems and solutions so that when they get there, you're like, oh, let me guess, right?
You tired.
You tired? You need some rest?
You exhausted?
What's your favorite thing? Oh, I can just do this myself? Because at 100,000, you really can. You can muscle a lot of this stuff.
You can muscle
right?
100,000.
At 1 million, you can't muscle that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you can anticipate what that looks like because you've seen enough people and you've seen this cycle play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And it's still hard, even being prepared and knowing what those next steps are for people. I think they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm coming in as a magical genie from the future, like, hey, I'm so happy that you made this $600,000 this year. And your projections say you're going to make $1 million, then you're going to make $2 million, and da, da, da.
Yeah.
You should start you should start writing this stuff down. Yeah. And they're like, no, I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm rich.
Yeah.
Yes. And you want to be richer.
Yeah.
You want to write anything down? No, I'm good.
But so same thing. We tend to think that what got us here will get us there. And we tend to think that a little bit more elbow grease, right? If I just do this a little bit harder, if I send a few more emails, if I make a little bit more content, you don't realize that. So when you say, have you changed? You got to be in this continuous state of adaptation, especially when you start talking about taking on people, right? And taking on processes, things that you no longer have to do, right? So my Q, who's a rock star that works with me, one of the things that she said she loved was that whatever software and system she needs, I'll buy it.
Can't wait.
And I'm saying, how crazy must it be that I would not buy it and I'm also not in charge of using it? All I'm saying is be a good steward of it. Like, go, let me cost it out. Let me know the other options, whatever the recommendation is, and then let's get it going. You know what I'm saying? And I think the part of business that you don't anticipate is there are spaces where you feel like you should be growing financially, and the money may be growing, but the profit might not be growing. And so you got to balance that whole thing out, because every next major step is usually an investment in people. Sorry, I keep hitting this. Usually investment in people. There's usually some investment in supplies and resources. And so it takes a lot to then go back and re-engineer the business model so that you're not just running on the hamster wheel.
Where do you feel like, where would we have learned any of this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like everybody's now entrepreneur. Kids now
Yeah.
want to own their own businesses. Where should we have learned any of this stuff?
I don't think I ever been. That's dope. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So let's unpack it, right?
Right.
Because I didn't know that people didn't learn it because I studied business and worked in business. I had the closest educational background and corporate background that would prepare you for entrepreneurship, right? So let's talk about where you learn some of these things. In business school, undergraduate level, you take a wide range. Let's say you take a class in all the key business functions: human resources, marketing, sales, finance, something that's usually in production or R&D. So you know how you have your core classes where you got to take algebra, and that's kind of like business. You got your business core classes, accounting. And then as you start to pick a major, you concentrate deeper. So I went down a corporate finance and a marketing track, and you go a little deeper. Then you have the things that are around them. So economics, for example. Economics, macro and micro, not just influencers.
Yep.
It teaches you how to look at society as a whole in order to understand how markets function, right? What do I mean by that? So you can look at part of my job when I worked in marketing as a professional was to anticipate the future and create a product for it. So let's take something that we can both relate to. Give me anything, because people, I don't want to think I staged it. Just give me any industry and let's dissect it and talk about it.
Restaurants.
Restaurants. Perfect. I love it. Right. So macro trends, and I'll use America. What are the large trends that affect humans that will then impact restaurants? Well, now you got to have adjacent information. One thing is the shift to AI, automation, and systems. This means there will be less people physically going somewhere to work. How will that impact restaurants?
Less people working in less jobs. It'll be cheaper. They don't have to pay for people. They don't have to pay health insurance. Probably go faster, less mistakes. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about both sides. Let's talk about the restaurant owner and the consumer. As a restaurant owner, I can get on what you just said. I'll be able to automate some things, add in some robotic and AI things. And if they're repetitive tasks, I can pay a one-time fee and not have to keep paying for labor, right? Let's say I got the best burger spot in town. I can get a robot to cut the hand-cut French fries. Ain't that funny? Hand-cut French fries by a robot, right?
Right.
On the consumer side, if there are less jobs, that means that the income disparity is going to swing. Yeah. We're going to see a rise in low and we're going to see a rise in high. Well, how would that impact restaurants? We'll probably see both things happen. People that cater to low market, meaning dollar menu, I come from that, and high market will do well. Those in the middle, quick service, or where you can sit down and have a lunch for $20, they're going to suffer, because they're going to be too expensive for the person on this end, and they're going to be too cheap for the other person on that end. But you got to look at the trend to know that that's coming. And you got to know how far away are we from that right now? You know what I mean? So that's just looking at one particular thing. So economics trains you to start to look down that path, right? You take psychology, sociology, anthropology. How do people think? And why do they do what they do? That teaches you how to shape your words, because now I need to know how to get them to respond based on whatever it is that I'm trying to communicate. And then you merge all that shit with business and you get marketing.
You don't think any of the, see, here's the problem.
Let me tell you, I know where you're about to go.
You know what I'm about to say.
I don't think it sounds crazy if you want to be an entrepreneur. Here's why I don't think it sounds crazy.
Okay.
If you wanted to be a doctor,
cook.
If you wanted to be a doctor and you thought you could get on the internet because you saw some WebMD and you watched House, and now you open up your basement and you want to start doing surgery on people, you think you're crazy and everybody else will think you're crazy. I think the same thing about entrepreneurship. If you don't have business as a foundation in no capacity, and you want to jump out here and not find somebody to learn from, not find something to buy, not get in some type of training, I think you're equally crazy. And I think the market always corrects itself. So that's the passion that drives me to teach, is that the empathy I have for folks is what makes me want to save them from the slaughterhouse. But like the older I get, the more I'm like, the market gonna correct itself. You'll figure it out one way or the other.
What does that look like? Say what that looks like to you.
Which part?
What the market correcting itself means to you.
We right here from where you used to walk people's LLC and incorporation paperwork in. Mm-hmm. Them people, when you bring them that money, now we can do everything electronically. But when you bring them that money, they don't care if your business is going to succeed or not. So what does it look like? It look like a whole bunch of LLCs, S corps, C corps, nonprofits giving their money to the state, and that's all that happens.
Ever. You
walk into the bank, and if they don't have no fees for starting businesses, or you maintain a balance of $5,000, it look like every month $50 getting debited from Wells Fargo or Chase because you can't maintain a $5,000 balance. It look like that, right? Those are the low level things. The higher things, and this again why I serve so much, man, it look like depression, right? It could even look like self-deletion, because we got so much of our essence wrapped up into what we do. We think we are what we do. That if you can't separate that out, then it could be real dark. You know what I'm saying? So like my passion, as much as I be like, y'all on your own, the next part of me be like, you can't leave them on their own. Goddamn.
You just love the people. And then you be mad at the people.
Yeah, all the above. We in a toxic relationship with each other.
You really are. But I think it's because you genuinely care. Like, and that's why we haven't just thrown, we don't be throwing stuff out here to offer y'all, because we know one, either you're not going to do it.
So that's the same thing with the market correcting itself, right? I'm always playing a long game. And I sleep good at night.
Yep, me too.
I got the same phone number I had since 9th grade. Ain't nobody looking for me. I don't owe nobody no money. I haven't wronged anybody, right? I got hundreds, if not thousands of testimonials. You know what I'm saying? And everybody don't. And some people will make more in the short run, but it's coming at the expense of the people. Tortoise in the hare, right? I'm just gonna play. I'm playing the long run, just one in front of the other. I came to chill. I didn't come to turn up.
Why you can't tell? You was chill on the last one. You supposed to turn up today.
Oh, my bad. What's up?
This your day for the smoke. Oh, look. I know you be one of, dang, I should have got one to take the label off. Ain't no free marketing.
No free marketing. We right here by Coca-Cola headquarters.
Look, we need, actually, talking about partnership. Fran, what do you want to say to the people? Because we be talking a lot of smack. What do you wish people knew?
You said what now?
What do you wish people would get through their head? What do you want people to understand?
That you're not crazy and that these wild dreams can come true, but you got to do every ounce of your part. I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't put your all into something. And one of the things that I tell folks is like, make sure it's your inner voice, or if you're connected to source, God, universe, make sure it's that voice and not just the voice of somebody on TikTok or Instagram telling you, quit your job, try this, start this. But if it's really your inner voice, like we are actually living our wildest dreams. I don't have to set an alarm. I don't have nowhere I have to be. I don't even take meetings before 10 o'clock in the morning. It's impossible for me to wake up after 10 o'clock in the morning.
Impossible.
Right? Like, my job is to take the things that I've learned, the things that I've read, the things that I've had access to, and make it digestible so that I can teach you how to do what you do in your business. That's my job, right? Inside of this, my family works with me. I get to spend a lot of time with my friends. I've been all over the world on somebody else's dime and on my own, all as a result of putting your all into something. You know what I mean? When you don't put your all in, my question is, who are you taking advantage of? If you don't put your all into your product, but you put your all into selling it, then you're taking advantage of the buyers. You're using language and charisma to entice a sale, but you're giving them a half-baked product, which will lead them to fall short on the results that they're searching for. So if you don't put your all into something, then who's taking the L, right? On the flip side, when you do, you end up with an abundance of clientele, an abundance of people that'll continue to do business with you because it's reciprocal. That you put in something, they get out something, and you can keep doing this for forever. So as much as I get mad, like, it's that passion. You don't have to hate your life. You don't have to dread your life. The days of the week are fake. You know, I used to dread Sundays because you got to go to work. Right? The days of every day can be payday. Every day can be vacation. Every day can be Saturday. You know what I mean? But that comes on the back end of being committed to something and giving everything you got.
Where are we losing the commitment? Like, see, here's what your life is so different. You're not a real human, but you are able to be empathetic to the rest of us mere mortals that are out here.
You silly.
But the fact that you've had mentors, the schools you've gone to, like, I went to a school and we had economics, but it was a little old man with an economics book, like, and turn to page 1.
Yeah, that's what I had.
Right. You have the real, genuine, where you're learning and you're able to apply those kind of things. So thinking that my life is more of what the common or the normal person's life would look like, and I never had a mentor or had anybody that held me accountable. Do you think the accountability part has helped you? I know discipline is there.
Yeah, I love it.
But do you think that the accountability and the mentorship, that part helped you on this journey?
So yes, look, I wouldn't be who I am without the mentorship. But in lieu of that, if you don't have it, this is what I mean when I say the market will correct for it. You don't have to have a mentor. When you go to develop something and go to make it, if you can't, I heard somebody say this, right? If you can't sell your product or your service 2 or 3 times to the same person, it ain't worthwhile, right? So the market gonna correct itself. If it's just one and done, even if you get it wrong, that's okay. If you got the conviction to get back in the lab and rework it and redevelop it, then that's the highest level of mentorship that you can get. In those instances, you just have to extend your timeline on how long you think it will take to achieve the things that you want to achieve, because you're in development. You know what I mean?
So, just speaking of timelines, everything should happen tomorrow. Or tonight, if possible.
Okay.
I think that's what the world is telling you, because you see the highlights of everything. What do you think is a realistic timeline, just based on what you've seen, based on what you've been through, the people you've been around, the folks that you've coached? What is a realistic timeline for sustainable success? Not just I sold candles during the pandemic and everybody was at home sniffing candles all day long, but genuine sustainability in a business.
So I think getting one business to the 5-year mark is a great indicator that you may have something. But you might have to start multiple businesses that open and close before they make it to 5 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But when you finally get that 1 to the 5-year mark, it gives you enough time to go through the cycles. You go through an economic cycle. You go through a presidential cycle. You're going to go through some seasons. Somebody going to probably be born. Somebody going to probably transition. Somebody going to get married. Somebody going to get divorced. It's a long enough time to be like, we might have something here. You know what I'm saying? So I can't prescribe what it looks like for everybody. But I will say something different happens when you pay your rent and your insurance and your team, all that 5 consecutive years, 60 months of hitting everything. You're starting to grow and blossom into a different person. There's a lot of stuff that can happen prior, right? You can have overnight success and overnight failure, but like that sort of beat to that drum. If you can get to the 5-year mark, you got something.
I like that. I think 5 years is a good number. Just in looking at, I'm at 17 now, and looking at how many businesses I've watched open and close over the years of people that start at the same time. Me and Nicole, Dr. Nicole Garner, were in here yesterday, and we literally started the same year. Yeah. So we had Big Boy's wife as a client. We had similar clients all in the same up and down Edgewood that we were running together with. So it was just dope seeing how we've both grown. I've always been in the operational side of everything, and she's always been more event PR, for her to go towards wealth. And just seeing the word pivot, we hated that word a couple years ago, but seeing how people pivot, how has your pivot been from corporate into entrepreneurship? And if there's anything you wish that you could have just got hit in the face with day one, what would that have been?
I just read something, I think I saved it or screenshot it, that said startups are not mini corporations, right? In my mind, everything was a corporation, just at a different size or scale. And so I didn't realize that when you're first starting out, as crazy as it sounds for everything else that I know, I didn't realize that I had to make everything. Nothing existed, right? So there was no policies or procedures or steps or how we do anything. It's just a matter of figuring it out and then realizing that don't work, right? And then writing down the things that do work. So if somebody could have like waved that magic wand when I was starting, I wish they would have like said, hey, all the stuff you know in corporate is going to fall to the far background. You'll need it as a foundation. So that would have been helpful. And as far as the pivot, just quick crash course. I started we started a clothing brand that was doing well, got into the six figures. Had some unfortunate circumstances I spoke to earlier where we had to go in different directions. I then started a marketing agency with a friend. We got that to a pretty healthy space. And then we took the information and started moving into teaching and education and stuff, right? So my pivots have been, the first part has been taking all of who you are and leaving none behind. So the creativity, the strategic muscles, all of that, infusing it in the business. And then listening to wise counsel, because along every step of the way it's kind of like the movie where you got to go see the old wise man or the old wise woman. Like I've had somebody that just whispered that thing in my ear that helped unlock the next phase. And I don't know if you know it, friend, but you've been the whisperer for this phase.
Aww.
You know what I'm saying? Like for real. Because we've been talking about the systems part of my business for a while. And I've been saying, not yet. Like I'm still figuring out, I'm still getting to that 5-year mark. Like I'm doing fine.
I know, yeah.
But I don't fully know what you know, or I didn't fully know what you knew then, which is you knew me, not me the person,
right.
Me the business stage, which is like, nah, you still need a system for that stage.
Yes.
I get your big grand plan, but let's start writing some of the small stuff down en route to the bigger thing. And that it's not finite. It wasn't a project that's open and closed. This is a way of doing business that is never too early to start incorporating because you're going to continue to do this throughout. So this next phase, and I say you were the whisperer for it, it looks like the whole human now is the business. The only difference is I'm putting life first. So it looks like if I want to go to South Africa for 2 weeks to take pictures of birds. How do you have the systems in place so that your business can continuously run? And what does that communication look like, right? What does it look like to go be completely inside of the hobby? 8-12 hours in the field, you ain't worried about nothing because there's a process for how everything gets done and everything gets decided. And then the connections and the scale that I built on social media, letting somebody else fund it. So I'll pick places all over the world. I'll go meet with, I don't like the term followers, but I'll go meet all my followers all over the world. I'll run my business from my cell phone and I'll continue to work hard and hobby harder.
Did you try that? I feel like you should. That needs to be somewhere.
How much that cost? Let me borrow it.
Yeah, let me borrow $46.
It happened.
It's probably gonna be $46.
It happened here on film. Connie's gonna pay for that trademark.
What? Cut the camera. Cut. Anything else you want to say, friend? Because I know we have a lot of conversations just off.
No, I mean, but if we stay on this trend line, I'll be back next month. So we don't have to try to give the people everything in one session.
Because yeah, we could have.
So my same thing though, like, thank you for being a friend, thank you for being a business thought partner, and then for this particular thing, right? It takes a lot to invite people in to something that's in its infancy. So thank you for allowing me to be a little babysitter of this thing that's gonna grow and blossom into Don't be surprised if this surpasses all of your wildest dreams. I think you've done right by people. Got 20 years of really, really dope relationships. But I don't take it lightly that you extended the invitation and then that you let me come back. So appreciate you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Be a thug.
I know I'm a gangster. I didn't cry on the last one, so I'm good now. Thank you very much. Well, I guess we're gonna go ahead and close out since you'll be back again next month.
I'll be back
on the next season of.
What the hell Mahdi got going on?
Because I want everyone to be something ridiculous and different and all of the things. And I did get some really good advice earlier from Michael McDonald, the CEO over at Earn Your Leisure. He was like, start releasing this stuff. You've been holding on to all of these episodes get it out. Let the people see who they want to see. Learn what the difference is between this person, that person. The thing I learned from Nikki was, she was like, I didn't realize how much people just rather hear me talk than hear me talk to guests. Which sometimes it's the other way around. They want to see the interviews, but when she is just her, she gets higher engagement than she does when she has a guest on there. So I'm hopefully y'all see these soon. If not, if the next video we got all like hoodies and jackets and you see snow falling in the background, I did not release it soon. But thank everybody for tuning in. This is another episode of Life with Systems with Connie 𝗚𝘧𝗏𝗏. We are finding the harmony between our business life and our personal life. Love y'all. Bye.